This is Wax Mechanics, and you're tuned into Undergroundopolis.
All right, I'm here with Eerie Vaughn, formerly of Samhain. Do I say that right? Is it actually Samhain, or is it like the old Halloween version, that like they talked that Halloween movie, the Samhain?
Yeah, well, that's the correct pronunciation, but we always figured it was too confusing for people, so we just went with the spelling, I guess. That was mostly up to Glenn, but we still got people would put in like Sam Hain, then we'd get the gigs and they'd say, which one of you guys is Sam?
Which one's
like
pink?
So, yeah, which one's pink? Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we just went with that, and people say however they want to say it, so.
If there was somebody that you could narrow down that you saw at maybe on TV or a concert or whatever, that you said, I want to do that, could you narrow that down to somebody?
Yeah, it was Elvis,
Yeah.
I was probably 7, 8 years old. They started playing, they started selling this two record set on TV, and you know how they do that. They show pictures and they have the list of the songs and they play little snippets from each song, during the commercial. And it was on so much that I learned the songs, like at least those little parts. And I was just like, I really want to get this record. So me and my dad, he said, well, you pay half and I'll pay half. And I think it was like $6 or $7. And then the big satellite show from Hawaii was coming on. I guess that's why they were selling that record. And I saw that. I could only watch the first 5 songs and I had to go to bed, I think. So I was just like, yeah, I want to do that. So that's definitely it, because I just, I got those 2 records and then, learned all the songs and, just was like, yeah, this is really cool. I want to do this, so
Well,
that was pretty much it.
you played bass in Danzig and Samhain.
Mm-hmm.
That's not all you play, though.
I started out on drums.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Right. Now I play I play a little guitar, I play some slide. I just play, what I need to play to write my songs and record my stuff. And, I try to get better, and I kind of make up my own thing as I go along, not knowing exactly what some chords are, but if it sounds okay, I just go with it, so I can fake quite a few instruments.
So do you play all the instruments on your solo albums?
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you really?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Well, I was, there was no one else around at the time. So, it's either wait and try to find somebody or just do it yourself. So, I always was like, well, I'm always here. So I could record at 3:00 in the morning. So
right.
I just did that. It's easier.
Do you have a particular creative process?
Nah, I usually just write words. And, once you get past the first verse or so, it's just like, okay, well, if it keeps coming, then you just keep writing it down. And then, if it's like a song form, then you write it down like that. And then you go, oh, okay, well, we got a chorus. So do we need a bridge in this? Should I put in a bridge? It's like, well, let's put in a bridge and see what happens, And, but I did a whole record that got lost on a hard drive because I was using digital for the first time many years ago. And I wrote all the songs, all the music, and played everything, but I didn't have the words, and I couldn't figure out, I couldn't get the words to fit the song. So I stopped doing that and just said, well, I'm just going to write the words out and then pick up the guitar and make a song out of it. So that's the way I work now,
How did you get involved with Misfits and Danzig?
Yeah, well, we just, Glenn and Jerry went to the same high school I went to, but they had graduated a couple of years before. So me and Doyle were in 7th, 8th grade together. And we had lunch every day in 8th grade, I think. Got to be friends, and then went to high school. We were still friends, and, he was just like, my brother's in a band, and told me about it and stuff. And I was like, oh, cool, what's it like or whatever. And he said, oh, I'll make you a tape of some of the stuff. And he made me an 8-track tape, and had all this like Static Age and what they call the 12 Hits from Hell stuff that never came out. And he gave me the Bullet and the Horror Business records just one day at school, and I just went home and started listening to it. And he was just like, yeah, you should get back into playing the drums. You know, we always need a drummer, so, you know, just learn all the Misfit songs. So that's pretty much what I did. I was already taking pictures for a couple of years, and he just said one day, why don't you take pictures of the Misfits? And I said, okay, fine, you know, and that just happened. And I met Glenn and Googie, and I already knew Jerry, and that was it. Glenn and I became friends, and we kept talking, kept hanging out, and, you know, when he wanted to start a new band, I was there, and he's like, you want to do the band with me? And I'm like, yeah, well, why not? You know, so, you know, he already wrote all these good songs and stuff. He was a great singer, so I was just like, well, we got that covered.
Yeah, he really is. He's kind of underappreciated in some ways, man. He's how really good of a vocalist he is. But was Doyle always that huge?
No.
Really?
No, he was a tall, skinny shit, you know, back then. And he was like real crazy, and it was, you know, it's more like punk rock stuff. He wore crazy clothes and colors, and dyed his hair every month a different color, and he didn't become like, you know, Doyle till like after this first Misfits tour after Walk Among Us came out, and then he started to get a little bit bigger. But that was just because he was getting older and stuff. By that time, he was a senior. So, you know, he just developed and then worked out a lot. Him and Jerry used to work out all the time, and he just kept getting bigger. And that's the way, you know, the way it is.
Do you have a particular favorite show that you can narrow down that you could tell us about?
Well, my favorite Danzig show is the Halloween one that we did. It was us and White Zombie and I can't remember who else, but it was in Irvine Meadows Amphitheater in California, and it was like 14,000 people. It was sold out. Halloween night, you know, bonfires and, you know, just total like punk rock mayhem, you know. It was just tremendous, and I was just really happy. And then they captured some of it on that Live Mother video, which I'm glad that's out there, because and you can kind of get an idea what it was really like to be at one of our shows, you know, with that many people going that crazy, you know. So that's my favorite one.
Here's the counter question. Is there a least favorite show that you care to collaborate about?
No,
I love that question.
I can remember. You probably just forget those, but there wasn't a whole lot of them. You know, I can't think of anything. We pretty much went all out every time, and it was always cool. And same thing with Samhain. We always gave everything we had. And the only thing that would be a drag is if, you know, you're touring in a van or whatever and you break down. We broke down in El Paso once in Samhain, and we're stuck there for like 3 or 4 days because they couldn't get the part for the truck we were driving, and missed like 2 big shows. So that was money that was going to help us get to the next shows and stuff. So that was kind of a drag, you know. But other than that, everything was always like, just the shows were great, you know, and the recording sessions were always good. I mean, I pretty much can't complain, you know.
Right. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that, you know, they think they're just, they've got a video on MTV, which back then you probably didn't, you know, because it wasn't, well, it's probably around there in Samhain, but, you know,
maybe. Oh, so, well, yeah. MTV started in like 82, so Samhain started in 84. But yeah, we didn't have any videos. We talked about it, but, we were going to make videos that were like kind of little horror movies, and we were just going to have be the soundtrack. We didn't talk about being in the videos. We just never got around to it. And then, you know, the Danzig stuff, they didn't play us hardly ever. Even on Headbangers Ball, they wouldn't play our stuff because it was too crazy, you know, and they thought Glenn was serious about all this shit, you know. So after we sent them the first Mother one with the sacrifices and all that, and the pentagrams and shit, they were just like, yeah, we're not playing this band, you know. So, and then they didn't play us until like they changed, like whoever was made the decision, you know, they new people come and go and stuff. And eventually when we did the live video, whoever was there said, yeah, this is good. We'll play this. And then they played it a bunch and we sold some records, you know.
Yeah. What is it like to have one of the biggest songs in the world at one time? Speaking of others.
I don't know. It was just kind of cool that you could hear it on the radio or, you know, I mean, I never watched MTV, but when they said they were going to play it, of course you want to turn it on and see if they play it. And then they're playing it like 5 times a day, you know, at least, you know, during the day, which was, I thought was pretty good. So yeah, it was awesome. I mean, the first time we went to California for a couple of shows or on a tour or whatever, we pulled in or from the airport and heard the song on the radio, you know, and that's always a thrill, especially the first time. You know, I mean, it's great no matter when, but the first time you hear your song on the radio, it's just like nothing else, you know, it's a really great feeling, you know, it's like, holy shit, we're on the radio, this is great, you know.
You just mentioned talk about touring, and people always think that, you know, it's like, oh, they're touring and stuff. They're making all kinds of money. They're going to wild parties and, you know, just living the high life. It's not like that, is it?
No,
it's not. It's
tough. Some of it is. I mean, but you got to remember, we got to pay for that bus. You know, we got to pay for everybody in the crew that's like setting up our gear and making sure everything runs smoothly. All those guys get paid before we do. And then we got to pay for all the hotels for all those guys, for everybody in the band. You know, everything basically comes out of the band's money. So, you know, you gotta make a lot of money to actually make any money, you know. So it's like, yeah, we don't own the bus. The bus at that time is probably $2,500 a week plus gas, plus a driver, you know. So right there you take, okay, that's about, you know, $5,000 a week off the top right there, you know. And then we had to pay for the merchandise guy to drive his truck around, you know, and all that. It's just, you know, it's ridiculous. Everything comes down to you. So, you know, the records aren't made of gold either, you know.
No.
So, yeah, if they were, you know, then it'd be easier to hawk them, you know. But they're not, you know. So, yeah, and as far as like all the other stuff is, basically, you know, we weren't real party animals. We were really into playing and just making people go crazy and just making people happy. And that was the thing we really dug, was doing the show because we loved the music and it was just really cool. So yeah, there was parties here and there, but nothing super crazy, you know, no Rolling Stones, Motley Crue type stuff, you know. Just hey, after the show, I was just happy to have a few drinks and, you know, talk about the gig and maybe listen to a tape of the show and just chill out, because it takes you hours to calm down after that, and then just make it to the next thing. It was really all about that 1 hour, hour and a half that you're on stage. Otherwise, that's your whole day is geared towards doing that show. So everything else is really inconsequential, you know.
Yep. Don't get a lot of support from the record companies like people think you do.
Well, sometimes, you know, especially if you're selling a ton of records, then they love you. But if they gotta really push the records and stuff, you know, they're like, oh, you know, they'll do certain things, but then, you know, they call up Glenn and say, hey, we got this opportunity. How about you do this? How about you do that? And Glenn would just go, no, you know. So there was a lot of butting heads over like creative, you know, like what the band should be like, because Glenn was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing this or whatever, you know. So the record company sometimes didn't know how to handle it, you know.
One of the few people that say this, my favorite album was 2, Lucifuge.
Yeah, it's good.
I absolutely love that. Most people's favorite album was the first one. My favorite album was probably, which I do love that album. That's probably like third on the list. I thought How the Gods Kill was incredible. I guess because Lucifuge was the first Danzig album I heard.
Yeah.
You know, I was a teenager or whatever, and I think it was the first album I heard. And so that's why, I love Snakes of Christ. I just think that song's good. Long Way Back from Hell.
Oh yeah.
Such great songs. Do you have a
Yeah,
particular favorite
I
album?
like it better. I like it better than the first album because it sounded more like us. You know, like the first album's so dry, and the songs are great. I'd love to hear the first album sound like Loose Fuse. You know, just a little bit more atmosphere, not so, you know, just cringingly dry. There's no reverb on anything, and you know, I don't like that. See, Loose Fuse sounded like the band, you know. And then How the Gods Kill sounded like exactly the way we sounded because we had played so much and we rehearsed so much that we just went in, recorded everything like 1-2 takes, and that was what the band sounded like. But you know, like the first album, it's just I love the songs and they were great to play live, but I don't like the record at all, you know.
Oh, it does have some good songs. It does. But like I said,
they're all good.
That would be probably third on my list. I just love How the Gods Kill. I love Lucid Fuse.
Yeah. Well, somebody could go in and like, you know, remix it, you know, that would be great. It would, you know, but I mean, a lot of people like it because it sounds the way it sounds. And
yeah.
I was just like, yeah, well, the reason it sounds that way is because Ruben hadn't done a lot of guitar oriented stuff. He did Slayer, and then he was just working with the Cult on their big rock and roll record, Electric, and it sounded like our record did. It was like 6 months later, our record sounded just like the production guy heard in the studio him doing with the Cult. And I was just like, yeah, I don't like it. You know, so. I never talked to Glenn about it. I don't know if he liked it or not. It's just like, if you don't like it, then you just try to make the next one better. So that's just the way it is. You got to live with it. Once it gets out there, you got to live with it.
Yeah, I do understand that. I've made a bad album before. I've made a good album too, but I've made a bad album before.
Well, everybody makes a bad album once in a while. But it's not a bad album. I just don't like the way it sounds. But that's a difference of opinion, you know.
Oh, mine was.
Oh, there you go. Well, you learn from it and you move on and you hope you make a better one next time.
What would be like your favorite Samhain song? Mine would be Archangel. But.
Yeah, that was like the first one ever. It's not my favorite, but I like most of the stuff off November Coming Fire. I think that's our best record, and it sounds, you know, better than the other ones. All the songs were really fun to play. I like All Murder, All Guts, All Fun. You know, the first album with Samhain and Black Dream on it and stuff. Those songs are all great. I just wish it could have been recorded better as well. But yeah, I like most of the stuff off the third one, November Coming Fire. I don't have any real favorites, you know.
You're also a photographer. You paint and draw.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to elaborate on that some?
I started drawing when I was like 5, and I started painting after that, probably a little bit later. Just copied like comics out of the newspaper and stuff. And just when I got to you know, grade school where they had art classes, I started to get better at it, and then it just became a thing that I never stopped doing, and just kept doing it all, you know, probably didn't do as much during the band years because I didn't have as much time, but started painting again full time in like 99, so that's a good 20 something years. And I've been I started taking pictures. My dad got a camera, started taking pictures when I was like 8, and then I had a little Instamatic camera, you know, used to get them for Christmas and stuff, and then I would take pictures with those and get them developed at the local, you know, Rite Aid or whatever. And then my dad let me use the real camera for a while, and then he kind of lost, you know, interest in the hobby. So I kind of inherited the camera and then just started taking pictures in middle school, mostly girls and stuff, you know, 'cause it's a good opening line. You go, oh, let me take your picture, you know, and then of course you got to give them a copy, and then that's another conversation. And then I started shooting high school football and baseball and basketball, and that's around the same time as the Misfit stuff happened, because that I'd get called out of class and say, oh, you got to go take a picture of the Glee Club, or you know, the Home Economics Club or whatever. So I did all that stuff for the yearbooks, and then just, you know, when I started shooting the Misfits and anybody else that I knew that wanted pictures, you know, just take pictures of them, and kept doing the football and baseball stuff and all that. So, you know, that was it. And I just kept the camera around all the time when we went on the road, except for Samhain, because I was afraid I was going to lose it. My dad would have killed me. So I have hardly any Samhain pictures, you know. Mostly everybody else took pictures of us, you know. And that's about it. So I still shoot whenever I feel like it, or if a friend of mine's coming in town and they're doing a show, I'll go and take pictures of them, you know, things like that. But I don't do it as much as I used to. I mostly paint now.
How many solo albums you have? What, 4?
Working on number 6.
Oh, you have 5 out.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on Kind of Country right now.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the last one. The next one's going to be, it's Kind of Country too, but it's not, it's, I've got other people playing on it with me, so it's going to be different and similar, but, you know, it's, I don't know I couldn't just do a country record if somebody, you know, made me do it. I just write the songs and just record them, and they come out the way they come out. Only reason I called the last one Kind of Country is because that's what I thought it sounded like, you know. So this one's just, it's whatever. It's not exactly like that, but it's not punk rock, you know. It's more like blues and sort of dark country, which blues and country is kind of the same to me, you know. It's just one more chord in country and, you know, cowboy boots and stuff, you know.
I could agree to that. I definitely agree to that.
Exactly. Yeah. Plus, I've been living in the South for a long time, and, you know, you just kind of, there's a lot of people playing. Even punk rock guys are playing country, you know. They grew up on Hank Williams and the Misfits, you know. So we have that in common. I'm like, yeah, it just seems to come out, but they still have that punk rock attitude about everything. So it's just got more of an edge to it, you know.
So we can expect an album from you soon?
Oh, I don't know. It's I would say it's about half done, but I still got. I'm not in Nashville right now. I'm in Kentucky, so I got to go down there
Me too.
and do stuff. You know, so it's only 2.5 hours away, but I don't have a car, so I got to borrow a car to go down there, and I'll just have to spend a couple of days and tweak it here and there and work with the guys I'm working with, and they're you know, while I'm up here, they're still getting people like, oh, I think we need a, you know, fiddle on this one. So I'll call this guy, and, you know, and I said, yeah, you know, see what you can do. And then once I get there, if I like it, we use it. If I don't, we don't. I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be good. It's already good, so it's gonna be even better. So.
Okay. Is there anything you'd like to plug in before we wrap this up?
No, you know, if anybody wants to get in touch with me, I'm just on Facebook. I'm on Instagram, but I can't figure it out. You know, I mean, I can answer other people's messages, but I can't figure out how to post one. So I only did that to try to get in touch with some of my old friends that aren't on Facebook, you know. But, you can, if people want to get in touch with me, you know, my email is eerievon777@gmail.com. You know, I answer all the mail, and, I have 2 sites on Facebook. I post old photos and anything I can find or whatever, and some of my old friends are on there too. And if I want to sell something, like, you know, if I find some posters or old T-shirts or whatever, I'll say, hey, anybody want this? You know, so. But if you want to find me, all you got to do is Google me. I'm sure you'd find me 100 times. You know.
Don't you have a book out?
Yeah, that came out a couple of years ago. It's called Misery Obscura, and it's just about my time from like high school when I started shooting the Misfits through Danzig, and there's some paintings in there, and that's on. Everybody loves it. It's great. I'm working on another one, you know, so yeah, who knows when that'll be out, but I've been working on it for a while. But just got to clean up photos, which takes a long time to work on the negatives and and finds old stuff that I didn't realize I'd even taken, you know. So there's a lot of good, you know, pictures no one's ever seen, you know, because I still had a lot of stuff I didn't get to use. So that one's going to come out hopefully in the next year or so.
Where can we get Misery Obscura?
Amazon's got it all the time.
All right.
It's the publisher is called Bazillion Points, and it's just like it sounds. You know, not million, not zillion, it's bazillion. But you can type in Misery Obscura, go to Google, type in Misery Obscura, Eerie Vaughn, and it'll come up. It's all over eBay as well, you know, but Amazon's got it all the time.
This is Dave, and this is my joke of the week. A guy walks into a doctor's office with a frog on his head. The doctor says, "What's the problem?" The frog said, "I don't know. It all started out with a bump on my ass."